Hello, everybody, and welcome to Paranormal Guys Inc. Radio, our second attempt at a show tonight. Sorry about the earlier technical difficulties, but we're going to get everything in check and in order. Tonight I have a splendid show. It's more than an honor to speak to this fine filmmaker. Her name is Patty Greer, and we'll get her on board as soon as possible. In fact, let's do that right now. Hello, Patty. Are you there?
I'm here.
Wow. Thank you so much for hanging tight and bearing with the technical issues. Sometimes it just is out of your hand, and I was racking my brain to get this together because I've been dying to talk to you, and I'm extremely thankful that you put up with me tonight.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Well, let's just get right into this. I don't want to leave you hanging. I know it's been an extra hour that has been stolen from you because of these problems, but let's take us back. I know you were almost like a musician that played several instruments, but what was your main instrument of choice before any of this took place?
Well, I grew up as a piano player. And I started singing in my teens, and I performed as a singer-songwriter with the piano until I went to college and took up the harp. And I played professionally for a little over 30 years,
right.
And that was my career and my love since I was a child. Until I changed harps. I had been playing on organic strings for 33 years, and went to synthetic strings, and something in those strings destroyed my fingertips. And I'm in Band-Aids talking to you tonight, and this is 6 years after not touching a string. So I went through a pretty extreme life change of losing my career in a heartbeat when my hands had a bad reaction. But it turned out to be a blessing in the long run, because after I quit playing music and quit whining about the feeling in my skin on my fingertips, I started going to the crop circles for some uncommon new kind of healing, and discovered that I could make movies, and it took me into a whole new life.
And before this, did you have any general interest whatsoever of crop circles, UFOs, paranormal studies in general?
I've been playing with Ouija boards since I was 7.
Right.
And I've always been doing rituals and different things. Tonight being the new moon, I celebrated the new moon with varieties of incense, and I've always celebrated the changes of season and months and the moon swings, and really honored the more nature than anything else. And I find that, the only challenge of us moving the show an hour later is that my body is shifting, with the changes in the universe. I think a lot of us, probably listening to this program, are finding that we are really shifting our timetables, going down with the sun and getting up with the sun.
That's right.
I've never awakened at these early hours, and this whole year it's just been a whole new way of being, where I'm exhausted by 6 or 7 when it gets dark out, and I'm up at the crack of dawn ready to go.
I know exactly what you mean, and it's also, too, it seems as if the days are getting faster and faster and faster and faster. And a 24-hour day is really like a 14 to 15-hour day.
Yeah, well, I think also everything is speeding up. And I think that this year especially, 2010, is the year for great transformation. I know people are finding their soulmates, finding their real careers, losing their homes but finding something better. I think we're all in huge transformation, but this year a lot of people are moving into their life dreams.
Right. And it's almost
I don't know if it's happening for you. Is it happening for you? Are you having that kind of a year?
I've had a pretty up and down year, yes, but for everything else, I look at the bigger picture, and the things that you do lose along the way, you end up picking up such valuable things with it, as well. And, by losing something, I was able to, almost have an enhanced experience of being a father by being available and around much more than I ever thought possible before. So
nice.
That was, for me, that was one of the biggest life achievements this year. Everything else falls into place as well. But I look at the 2012 thing as almost you do as well, where it's going to be a gradual change, not just one specific day. And and when it does happen, it'll be a positive thing. And I know there's a lot of people out there that feel that it'll be the end of the world. I just don't see that happening.
Well, I think that we're being driven to have that belief because the money that's backing a lot of the big films, needless to say, just put out the 2012 film that is not exactly in the favor of humanity.
No.
It's totally based on fear. They spend a fortune, so the special effects really get people in the mood to be scared. And it's not only you're all going to die, but it's going to hurt and you're going to see your kids die. I mean, we're being fed the wrong information. And my movie, 2012, we're already in it. Did you see my film?
I saw clips of them, and I was blown away right away. And I actually stumbled upon an interview that you were doing not too long ago, and that's where just everything you said, it's such a refreshing take on so many different concepts that have been out there for a while, but, have almost been driven to the bone and almost dried up scientifically, and you bring it back to the light in a nice way that everyone could, appreciate and understand.
Well, thank you. I think part of that is being a female filmmaker.
Yes.
I think that also I've made a promise that no matter what I know, and I call that aspect of myself conspiracy girl, whenever I look up in the sky and I see the chemtrails, the big X's all around me, I look at my boyfriend and I say, oh, conspiracy girl's kicking in, get me quiet. But, these are not things that I want to focus on. We know that there's a lot of things going on that are in our best interest.
Yeah.
We know that our governments and our banks and our insurance people are not acting in our best interest. But if we spend our day focusing on all that, that's the kind of day we're going to have. And I've had my share. I mean, I'm up to my eyes in some disappointments with a lot of those, shall we say, establishments. But again, my focus, I am so grateful. I'm having a year where I finally attracted my life mate.
Yep.
And I'm in my 50s, so this is a real treat. I've gone a whole lifetime of kind of wanting and wishing and hoping and then just giving up and being. And I think that when we move into a real acceptance of where we are, then things start to happen. And all that wishing and praying and wanting and, sometimes we keep it outside ourselves rather than being in the joy of our lives.
That's right. And, that's the thing. You do what you're supposed to sometimes, and it's not helping you out in the long run, and you can't make everybody happy, especially if you're not happy. And that's the thing. I just wanted to ask you, because there's a fantastic picture of you actually laying down within a circle. And while you were doing that, did you feel a sense of healing of any kind or some kind of energy? Because you almost look like you're right in the middle of that circle.
That particular one, I was actually, that formation was a very odd oblong that I was in, and it had these tufts everywhere. And the tufts were the most amazing artwork. When you look at crop circles from the sky, you see an artwork, and you see, you don't see what's happening down below where it's so specific. You see like dots and lines that when you're actually in it, where you see that picture you're talking about, my head is up to like a centerpiece of a crop circle.
Yeah.
And it's very trippy. It's very transcendental. You don't feel like you're in a normal place at all. Again, I think most people are sensitive enough in a crop circle. Your whole body starts to vibrate. You get buzzy around your head. Your eyes get kind of shaky and goosebumpy. There's something going on in the crop circles that is definitely not of this world, and you can feel it all through your entire body.
Let me ask you this, too. I don't know if anyone's ever asked you this or if you've ever even thought of it, but did you notice, because a lot of the reports of crop circles, the stems are actually fused without being damaged. Did you notice any particular strong odor from that fusing, or did it just smell like regular, corn or grass or whatever it was you were relying on?
You're right. That's an interesting question. I never sniffed the bent nodes. I'll have to sniff them this summer to see if it smells different than the outside. I didn't. I was more, that's interesting. Because they are heated. There's some kind of a microwave seeming heat that expands the wheat at the elbows. It creates like a bubble in the stem, and at that bubble it can do a bend of 45 or 90 degrees simultaneous with thousands of them side by side. And you're right, there might be some kind of a smell. But I'll have to check it this summer. I am going back in 2010. I've got my reservations, and
That's awesome.
I'm super excited. To go into the crop circles, I think, is one of the greatest gifts that a human can give themselves now, and it's free. You just have to get yourself over to England, find the zone. But what we're being given with these crop circles is information. We are being gifted sacred geometric patterns that are subconsciously giving all of humanity messages that are affecting us on a level that we're not really seeing. And it's affecting all people, all animals. You put these pictures up in schools and hospitals. This is what I'm thinking. If I have some kind of a nice, too much money all of a sudden, I would spread posters of crop circles everywhere, because I am a believer. I think we are being given all the information that we need to save this planet. Yes. And I think a lot of it is coming through the crop circles. And if we look at the history of the last 10 years of the formations and the messages in general, there are themes. And in the last few years, we've been given a lot of themes about wildlife, environment, the ocean. Now, last summer, 2009, we had three different formations that to me looked like squids or sea creatures. And it was the year when we had those odd, huge, giant squid that they hadn't seen in, a few hundred years, landing in the beach in Santa Monica and up the California coast. And it was right after these crop circles had pointed out squid that these things started beaching. We were given a lot of Mayan symbols, huge, like headdresses, and we were given this amazing formation. A few of them came down in phases. Normally we wake up in the morning, boom, there's a new crop circle. Some of the ones last summer came down, boom, beautiful crop circle. 2 days later, it's twice the size. And then a week later, we had a couple of them that really expanded. And I think that the circle makers are giving us a certain amount of information, then they're expanding the story, and then they're giving us the full picture. And the most amazing one of all, which anyone that's listening to the show can go onto cropcircleconnector.com. Greatest website if you want to see all the crop circles that have been documented all over the world for free. You can see cropcircleconnector.com. If you join, it's inexpensive a membership. You can see like archives, all the years all the way back to the 1980s. It's really a worthwhile investment of time to go take a look at the crop circles that have been coming down. But this particular one last summer that came down in 3 phases had a 1,500-foot-long formation in a field of wheat, 1,500 feet of this impeccable ancient language that hadn't been seen for hundreds of years.
Incredible.
Now, where is this information coming from?
That's right. And
humans cannot do this kind of work.
I don't think so either. I really don't. You could tell the difference between the choppy sort of half, I shouldn't say this on air, but the half-assed looking crop circles compared to these ones that are just mind-blowing.
Yes.
Precision cut. And there's no way, in my opinion, that especially these extremely large ones could be done that well in the middle of the night by a bunch of people with boards and a rope.
Right. Well, teams are. We have heard about 3 different teams excuse me, and we are talking about an area where most of the crop circles are being documented, and that is Wiltshire, England. This is where I go every summer. It's we have Glastonbury to the west, the Avebury Stone Circle, which is in the center of Wiltshire, England, and then off to the east is Stonehenge. So we're talking southern England in the middle zone. Mm-hmm. And this area of Avebury has major sacred sites. They've got Silbury Hill. They've got long barrows, which they used to hide the ancestors' bones. And then they have stone circles. And the thing about this particular area is that for some reason, within 10 square miles, it has attracted approximately 90 to 95% of the greatest crop circles in the world. Now, there's a good chance that there are many more crop circles in Germany and Italy, which are the next two top numbers of crop circles, that maybe people aren't flying over and noticing. Chances are there's crop circles all over the world that because there's nobody flying over and looking for them, they're not being documented. But considering how many countries they've shown up in for the last 20, 30 years, we know there's something going on. And we also know that a lot of the farmers are saying, my grandparents used to talk about the fairy rings. Well, the fairy rings, common knowledge.
That's right.
So this isn't something new. But in the...
throughout the times, the ages, though, they have increased in complexity. Is it time, in your opinion, as a researcher and a filmmaker, to change the name from crop circle to something a little more suited to what we're actually seeing now?
Wow. I mean, you could call it sacred geometric artistry, masterpiece. You know, I mean, you could find it any kind of artistic title because they really are so magnificent. And I want to mention to people, if you haven't looked at pictures of crop circles, take a peek at my website, which is www.pattygreer.com, PATTYGREER.com. And I have 4 movie trailers. They're all loaded with pictures of crop circles. And every summer when I go back, I say, I can't make another crop circle movie. But, there's so many aspects. And once I get up in the little planes, you can't stop shooting. I mean, it's magnificent to be flying over these beautiful, beautiful formations. And it's 2.5 acres of wheat. This is a huge amount of wheat laid in perfect symmetry. And when you're on the ground and you walk into the first crop circle, it can be 60 or 80 feet across, and every little piece is laid right next to its mate, and they're just all in perfect divine order, and they're swirled down where it almost feels like water or wind, and always in the center there's some kind of a unique centerpiece. And in some of the formations, you walk in and it's so grand and magnificent to enter this huge circle, and you don't even realize that it's just one of possibly 90 circles. Mm-hmm. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And when you follow the formation, it's kind of like walking through a maze. You don't really know what you're in until somebody shows you a photo or you fly over it. It just goes on and on. And each circle or each triangle or each curved pathway is so meticulous and beautifully done that you feel like you are in the masterpiece. And then there's a little teeny tuft of wheat opening, and boom, there's another huge formation right next door. I mean, it's really a very remarkable experience.
Well, let me ask you, too, as a musician, music is very mathematical, and math is the universal language. Has it come across to you to try and play maybe one of your recordings or some kind of musical piece within one of these circles while you're sitting there, and to see what would happen to yourself?
Well, great question. The very first crop circle I went in was in 2006, and I had gone all over Glastonbury and all over Wiltshire asking the supposed experts and the bookstores that knew, that were where everybody said to go, if there are any new crop circles. And I was there in June. So I had printed up off my computer 14 crop circles in that immediate area. So I knew that there were at least 14 that were placed in the fields in the last month and a half. So both of the stores coincidentally said to me, no, we have no formations this year. Now I'm standing there and I've got 14 pictures in my purse, so I pulled them out. I laid them on the counter and I said, let me share with you the 14 that have come down in your immediate area. So maybe the next person that asks you might want to be a little more informed. And they weren't real interested. And so I remember looking at them and saying, is it because I'm an American? Or do you just not interested anymore? I mean, it was really quite interesting that the people in that area hardly wanted to talk about it. And then I got into the third store, which was called Witchcraft, and of course the ladies that were leaving and giggling were off to a crop circle the very next morning.
Right.
Excuse me. So I got hooked up with a couple of ladies and followed them. They met me at 10 in the morning, so I had my daughter and I in our rental car, and we chased them off into these farm fields in the middle of nowhere, and it's pouring rain, just completely ridiculously rainy, cold. The wheat is soaking, and I'd never been in one. I was still going to go. So I'm following these ladies in their car, and it was the most amazing thing, because in the back was a Great Dane, and he was hunkered around a small Irish harp.
Yes.
Now, my life dream would be to play a harp in the crop circles. My hands had gone down, but I was like, I don't care. I am going to play that harp in the crop circles. So by the time we got to the one we were shooting for, it was so rainy I couldn't take the harp out of the car. So no, I never got to play. But I certainly sang a few songs in the crop circles, and every time I go in, I don't talk to people. I definitely like to be alone. And when you asked me a bit ago what I think is making the crop circles, this is a really important question and answer. And we have many different interpretations. And to be fair, in my movies, I show different viewpoints, because in my movies it's not about what I think. It's about what people that are in the crop circles on a regular basis think. And I don't let negative people through the edit gate of my films. I make a promise as a filmmaker to only do the positive thinkers, the people that have something that leaves me feeling like, or at least good. But my honest belief, since you asked me, is that they're being made by these balls of light. And the balls of light have been caught on film a few times. And a lot of people in the crop circles, including myself, have seen the balls of light in that area of Wiltshire. A number of my friends have seen the balls of light up close. A friend of mine had to go right across her car. Another gentleman who runs the Silent Circle Cafe, which is the center of the crop circle research, has gone in the fields for years and had one show up within 15 feet of him, right behind the center of a crop circle. And he sat there completely mesmerized, just stunned, and watched this ball of light blow bigger and smaller and bigger and smaller right there in the center of the crop circle, and then boom, it disappeared. And he said, and here he is all these years. He runs the whole information center. He finally has one in front of him. He's got his camera hanging around his neck, and he didn't think to hit play. He was so mesmerized, which happens to most people. So what we hear is that when these balls of light show up, most people are physically paralyzed. They can think. They certainly see it. They feel the excitement, but they're frozen. They can't reach out and touch it or scream. So it's slightly debilitating, but extremely exciting, and pretty much people are paralyzed when they see these balls of light, because they're coming through the veils into our dimension, but there's some time-space continuum that's shifted where they can freeze us and be present. They have some technology over ours where they can take control of our abilities to react and respond. So a lot of my friends in England have seen these balls of light up close, but very few people have gotten it on film.
Well, I have a great question from the chat room here, and it's from a person with the name Dance with Angel, and they want to know if you've ever seen seeds scattered within the circle. Like as an example, maybe a seedling or a sprout. Do they survive this heat transfer, or are they singed?
Now, what do you mean seedlings?
Like, when you plant something and then it just starts to sprout out. Do any of the little guys make it, or are they sort of singed during the heat transfer of the circle being made?
They don't get singed. What happens is the wheat is quite mature. Typically, it's a few feet tall, 3 feet minimum, before they lay the fields down.
Okay, so
The early seasons, they usually hit the canola fields, which are 1-inch tubes that are so porous, so almost dry, and they literally bend them rather than the wheat and the barley and that gets built cut at a 90-degree angle. But I don't see small seedlings. I don't see small beginner plants because everything's pretty much matured.
Yes. Okay, and I have a question of my own. Has there ever been any studies in regards to the people or livestock that have eaten these corn or wheat or whatever the circle is made of? Does it change them physically in any way? Has there been a study of that?
They sell the wheat to beer makers.
Right.
The barley, I guess, goes to beer makers, and the wheat goes to bread makers. And they have a few different farmers have actually promoted it as crop circle bread or crop circle beer. I mean, they've done a few special brandings, but no, it's still edible. And what the farmers say is that when the wheat is laid down, if it's a heavy wet season, then a lot of it is no longer usable. But the fact that it's bent over at a 90-degree angle and still stays alive and still grows at a 90-degree angle is what's remarkable about it. And when they cut the wheat and they take the heads, the seeds that your blog person had asked about, here's an interesting piece with the seeds of crop circle wheat. When they take them and grow them in test situations, they have found an increase in the quality of the food source and an increase in the growth patterns of the wheat that has been affected in a crop circle. So something does improve it, and the only thing that takes away from the value of it for the farmer is if a bunch of tour groups come in and they step on it, or if it's a super rainy season and it just gets washed down and moldy, then they can't harvest it in the fall. The crop circles all pretty much last until the fall, when it's generally harvest time. That's when the crop circles are taken down. But pretty much from the time they're laid by the circle makers until the harvest, they are there for us to see all summer long.
What about the soil? Does the soil become super enriched, changed in any way?
Yes, they've done testing on the soil, and they have seen a higher electromagnetic field, of course, is one of the noticeable things. Yes. But they are finding that they bury water samples to see if there are changes in the soil. And there are definitely changes between the inside of the formation and immediately outside, within 10 feet of the outside of where the crop is laid. There is a noted change in the, I think there's 17 different noticeable changes in the soil inside and outside the immediate formation lines of a crop circle.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So here's another interesting piece, which is unfortunately a human error, but this is not about the circle makers. This is what's happening to our beautiful crop circles now. Yeah. My first few years, I would cut 3 different grains. I'd take a little pair of scissors, a little plastic bucket, and every crop circle that I went in, I would make a little note in a journal, and then I would cut 3 heads from the center of the crop circle, and I'd take them home and, be my sentimental little memory of that formation. And in 2007, I had beautiful, beautiful little heads, and I brought them home in a lovely crystal jar. Some people have rocks or flowers. I have crops from every crop circle I was in, and I just cherish them. So the year when I went last was 2008, and, of course, every formation I went in, I took my little scissors and my little plastic thing and cut my 3 heads, and I put them in a plastic holder in the closet of the B&B I was staying in. I had bought like a pint of strawberries and eaten the berries, and so I had just the plastic that held it, and that's where I was keeping all my heads like the summer before. So I had maybe 15 or, I guess it would have to be 15 or 18 or 21 heads because I do 3 from each circle, and I had a really nice collection in there, and I took a couple days off and went to do an interview up north and some promo work, so I did not go in the crop circles for a day. So I skipped only one day, and the next day I went. I did a couple of circles with some friends and cut my 6 little heads, and I came back and pulled out of the top of my closet my little plastic pint thing of my lovely little heads, and there was pink mold that had looked like cotton candy had grown on all the heads and filled this bucket. Wow. I mean, I don't know what the heck was on the wheat, but whatever it was, I didn't bring those home, shall we say, from 2008. Yeah. So we have something going on, which is, if that's happening to the wheat and we're eating that, I think we have something to talk about here.
Yes, definitely. Definitely.
That shouldn't have happened. And I don't know what it was, and I probably should have given it to someone to look into what it was. But sure enough, this year, my new crop circle movie, you put me in your blog, and you had a nice little bio, but I wanted to send you a more recent one. 2 weeks ago, I went to the International UFO Conference, which I go to every year. Yeah. This is another thing I highly recommend to your audience. In the end of February, every year, there's an International UFO Congress Convention. It is 600 to 800 of the smartest researchers on UFOs, crop circles, abductions, all the military and all the conspiracy. I mean, it's an incredible conglomerate of 800 people in one hotel that know a hell of a lot. And we all meet, and for 14 days, 10 days this time, we're under one roof, and we go, 8 or 10 hours a day in lectures, 5 hours a night, 3 to 5 hours a night in movies. It is so much information, you can't wrap your head around all of it, but it is, I call it the crash course in UFO realities. It's where I go every year and world premiere my movies. And the last 2 years, somehow, my movies have taken Best Feature Film. So 2 weeks ago, my newest movie called Crop Circles, 2010 Update, The Wake Up Call, won Best Feature Film and the Best Music Award, which is really a great honor because this is a crowd of people that know what's going on. And I don't say this to brag because I'm not saying I'm any kind of great filmmaker. I am very inexperienced. This whole thing, I've called myself the accidental filmmaker. What happened to me in a crop circle changed my life. And a lot of people claim that they have some kind of an intuitive download or a DNA upgrade in the crop circles. This is one of the most phenomenal things that's going on to humans that go in willingly to the crop circles day after day, seeking something. You know, you can walk into any sacred space, shut down, and get nothing. Or you can go in with a huge hunger and receive everything that there is. And I lost the use of my hands. I lost my career. My friends got impatient with me. I was over it. I went there hungry. And I lay down in a crop circle the second year. The first year, as I said, it was very rainy, so I didn't have the luxury. But the second year, I went in, and my very first formation, I could feel it 40 feet before I got in. I was walking in the tractor lines, and my skin lit up. I had goosebumps. The top of my head was buzzy, shaky. My eyes got that weird feeling. My heart started pounding. I was 40 feet from the crop circle. I mean, these things, if you go in with a willingness to receive, there is something going on. something really fantastic. I got to the edge of the formation, and it was like standing on the precipice of a cliff or on the edge of a high dive. You look in, and it's breathtaking, and you're right at ground level. It's not like you're going to fall in, but it's so shocking to see wheat, a generic crop of wheat, some farmer's wheat, boom, all of a sudden there's a masterpiece laid in it. I mean, it's shocking.
That's exactly.
And for me, it's amazing. For me, that year, 2007, when I really had the luxury of time, I didn't have anybody with me, I saw that opening. I had the heart palpitations for 40 feet walking up to it. I remember just almost feeling transported to the middle, laying down, closing my eyes, and having a life-changing experience that took quite some time. I don't know how long, because I was alone and I was on my own, just kind of passed out there. But when I opened my eyes again, I saw plasma. I saw things in the sky. Number one, there were swirling mosquitoes over me. That was the first thing I saw. I swooped my hand back and forth to get them from kind of swirling over my face. And the next thing I knew, I saw things that were as clear as the mosquitoes, that they were see-through, moving beings. I don't know what they were, but they looked like flying jellyfish almost, and they were in groups, and there were lots of them. And some had dark centers, some had light centers, but I started seeing very strange things that I had never seen before, and it happened after passing out in a crop circle. Whatever I started seeing there, I see everywhere I go now when I stop and take the time and look up in the sky. Mm-hmm. They're everywhere. They're not just in the crop circles. But something shifted my vision, and something also shifted my priorities in life, and 6 months later, I made a movie. And every 6 months, I've made a full feature film. I've made 4 in almost 3 years with no training.
I think that's what your calling was, and as you said, it was meant to happen. And let me ask you, now that you've been to so many crop circles, do you feel that they're constantly calling to you? And when they're being made, even though you're halfway around the world, can you sense them in any way?
Not really. And I don't know if they're calling to me. I really don't feel like it's, of course, though, that's not, other people that live in the area say that the right people are drawn.
Yes.
And they also say that it draws very, very few people. And, with the Doug and Dave thing 20 years ago or 15 years ago, when the crop circles were really getting well known and some of the formations were really drawing attention, they threw these two clowns into the press, and they said, these 2 guys are making all the crop circles. And the world believed it. Yep. It's kind of like, Roswell, 1947, they admitted what happened, and then 2 days later, it was a hot air balloon, and the whole world believed it. So the story went away. But the story went away with crop circles. And I mean really intelligent people I meet look at me straight-faced and say, oh, I thought that was a couple guys. Mm-hmm. I thought that went out 20 years ago. It's shocking that people don't realize that almost every single day, all summer long, 1 or 2 or 3 massive formations go down within 10 miles of the Avery Stone Circle in England. So let's talk about why, for instance, 90% of the crop circles in the world that are being noted are in this area. Now, it could be that we have pilots flying over looking for them. That would be a great reason. Maybe they're everywhere all summer long and nobody's looking. But the fact that in this area there are so many, and they're happening in the same fields, not the same formation, but year after year, the same farmers' fields get hit. Well, 97% of them are sitting over an aquifer, which is a pool of underground water. So there's some kind of something coming from above that's got some kind of very high heat or electromagnetic or microwave energy. We don't know what it is exactly that these balls of light have as a technology. And again, I'm going back to what I think it is, which is these balls of light. What are the balls of light? I believe they are satellites that are coming off a mothership that's staying out of the visible spectrum of humanity. I think that the ETs have an agreement with humanity, they have for years, that they will not scare the world by bringing down these huge ships over big cities. So I think to be gentle with us, they're sending down these balls of light. And because these balls of light exist in a different frequency and a different vibration, very few humans are able to see them. Now the psychics and the intuitives and the people that have been abducted and the people that are choosing to be open to this, I hate the word phenomena because it's not. It's phenomenal, but it's not really a phenomena that can't be explained because it is being explained. But again, the problem is it's the perception of all people that matters. You can tell everybody that the chair is red, but half the people are colorblind. It's not red to them. So, we're dealing with all these different perspectives. When it comes to something as extreme as the reality of UFOs and crop circles being made by something other than humans, you're going to get a lot of resistance. In the past, I used to want to convince people. Now I don't even take the time. I'd rather be learning.
That's right.
I'd rather be talking with people that know more than me. Call me selfish. I'll spend, days a week on the radio happy to share what I know because I want people to know this. But I won't sit with cynics. I don't have any interest in proving myself to people that aren't interested, aren't willing, aren't open. God bless them. That's all good. But, I think that what we're moving into with the 2012 time span, this big, huge, another word, phenomenon that's coming our way, I believe we're already in it. Yes, we know we're having polar changes. We know we're having solar changes. We know we're having huge earth changes, and they're calling it global warming. I mean, we don't know if that's a joke or not. But for whatever it is, things are changing. Our governments are collapsing. Our medical systems, our banking systems. We can see that change is inevitable because things aren't working. We also know that we're doing too much destruction on the planet. So we're at this tipping point where humanity has a great opportunity, as has been prophesied by the I Ching and the Mayan elders and the many sacred elders of all the different India and all the different sacred belief systems. A lot of them have been talking about 2012 for years as the end of time, but really the wise men and the shaman are saying it's the end of time as we know it. And this is something that's great because the way things are now, it has to change, or the face of this planet is going to change because humanity is being too careless. So I really think, and this is what my movie is presenting, is the brilliant people that are talking about evolution of humanity, sacred humanity, consciousness rising in all people at all times. And subconscious or conscious, I think we're all moving in that direction. And these crop circles are one of the greatest gifts to humanity because they are the first physical manifestation of ET communications that humans can actually see. I mean, they're giving us all this information, and we do have people. You were asking me if I thought the crop circles had mathematical connotations.
Yes.
Well, there's those people that stare at this formation, sacred geometric patterns, and they see math. And so they give that dissection. And then there's people who look at it artistically, and they give that description of, it's all different perceptions of what the crop circles are saying. And when I was first making my first crop circle movie, I had all these researchers in a room, and I would put one circle at a time on the table and say, what's its name and what's it about? And you have 6 different interpretations. And everybody's right. Because the crop circles are giving information to each person at the level they can receive it. So different people will see different formations in different ways.
Now,
and they get what they need.
Favorite? Do you have a personal favorite crop circle, whether it's one that you've been to or just seen images of?
I have so many favorites. I don't really have one favorite, but I had an exciting one in 2008, which was I was staying with Barbara Lamb, who's written a few books on crop circles. She's one of the top ET psychotherapists that deals with people that have been abducted. And she's done over 1,800 regression sessions. She's really knowledgeable. I feel delighted to be a friend of hers because every question that I've had about my experiences, I feel that she gives pretty good information because she's had a lot of experience in the field. Excuse me. So she and I spend a week together in the crop circles each summer, and we share a B&B room, and we go out every day in the crop circles. Well, we woke up one morning, and the lady who owned the B&B said, you ladies might like to know, she's sitting us down to breakfast, and she's got all the courses on the table and the juice, and she says, you might like to know there was a crop circle that happened across the street last night. Wow. She didn't even see the door slam. Barbara and I were just, we raced across the street, and, excuse me, I've had pneumonia. I'm sorry if I'm coughing.
Oh, no
I'm
problem.
actually,
No problem.
yeah, I didn't want to say I can't do a show because I'm coughing, but I'm dealing with pneumonia.
I feel horrible that I bothered you in this condition that you're in. I'm really sorry.
Oh, no. It's delightful as long as your audience doesn't mind me coughing now and then. Anyway, Barbara Lamb and I jump across the fence. We climb over the fence. We get into the field. We see one head bobbing up, so somebody knew where the formation was. It's always nice when you can see a human head in acres and acres and acres of wheat because then you know at least the formation is over there. You have to have somebody tell you or fly over because it's really, you really can't find them. You're walking in something that's flat and the pattern drops in. So if you're on the ground, unless somebody's told you, walk into the 5th tractor line to the right from the fence where you climb over at the big rock. I mean, that's the kind of instructions I get to find the formations. Anyway, this one, we climbed the fence, looked for a bobbing human head. There it was, and we get in, and it was this unbelievable lay. It was absolutely beautiful, and the formation happened to be the goddess. Wow. Now, to me, it was kind of a lovely moment because here's Barbara and I. We're both really hard workers in the crop circle community. She speaks all over the world. I do what I can with my movies, and it felt like a gift because it happened while we slept. Those balls of light were whizzing right past our heads while we slept. So, yeah, that's exciting. I love it when it happens that close. So this summer I've got a different plan, a whole different plan. I've done all my years on my own. My first year I was with my daughter, but the next few years when I went and did all my filming, I actually traveled alone for 9 weeks every summer, just me, my camera, my tripod, and nobody else in the rental car so that I didn't have to be told, it's raining, you shouldn't go do that. I was the complete idiot filmmaker. I always had a tarp on, a hood and a big plastic tarp, and I'd get 2 people to hold the outsides, and I'd start filming. It always rains. You either don't film or you film in the rain. So I always had this big movie camera under a plastic tarp that was also over my head like a tent. And I got really great footage, and a lot of the regular crop circle people that are in the fields year after year, they've been doing it since the 80s. So when the weather's not good, a lot of them just don't want to go out. Yes. And that gave me a whole lot of room because it was pretty much me and the girl that lived in her car, Julie, that were the only ones in the crop circles when it was super rainy. But I got the best footage then because there was no people. And it's also very eerie when it's rainy. And in England, the rain, it's like it comes down, but it also almost seems like it rises up in the crop circles. And in my 2012 We're Already In It movie, there was a crop circle I was in, and I just kept shooting and shooting and shooting. And I got this very bizarre shape of a man's head with a crown, and it's really apparent on film. And it was in the midst of the rain, but I believe it was an elemental being because it was clear as day in the photos.
Wow. Just
totally clear.
Wow.
So let's get back to the balls of light. Speaking of amazing things on film, there's a man, John Whaley, who in 1996 was at Oliver's Castle, which is in this area of England, passed out and fell asleep. A lot of us sit out on the hills at midnight, and we wait and wait and watch, and we hope to see the balls of light. And this gentleman passed out, and at 5 a.m. he heard the whizzing sound that everybody talks about, where the wheat gets this crackling kind of sound, and it woke him up. And luckily, I don't know how, he wasn't paralyzed. He hit play, and he aimed at the field, and he's one of the only people that got physical footage of balls of light circling a wheat field, and the field goes down in front of your eyes.
No, I believe I've seen that footage.
Yes. Most people have seen the footage. It's been played for years. Millions of people have looked at it. It's on YouTube. It's called Oliver's Castle Crop Circle. Anybody can Google it, but you might prefer to go to my website, pattygreer.com, and I have it in 2 of my trailers, but in my recent movie, my Crop Circle movie, I dissected this footage, the John Whaley footage, where it's really visible. You see 2 balls of light slowly circle, literally, it's like a snowflake. There's 6 lines, there's a ball in the center, and out of each line is another ball, a slight line, and another ball. So it's like a big snowflake, but it lays down instantly from these 2 balls of light, and you see it before your eyes. So, you know, a lot of people are going, oh, you know, it's Photoshop. I'm sorry, 1981 or 1996 it was. They weren't doing these kind of manipulations on the film that this gentleman was using. The film, you can see the scratchy crossing the bottom, you know, the black and white dots.
Right.
It's the old film. He couldn't have doctored it, but again, lots of people are saying that he did. Well, that's fine. So I brought it home. I get permission to use it at the end of my movie. I'm sitting there with my editor, and I said, I don't know why. Reverse the film. Show it to me backwards, the John Whaley footage of the balls of light laying the field. He says, backwards? I said, yeah, and slow it down. He said, why? I said, I don't know. Slow it down. He said, well, how slow? And I said, 30. I just was like throwing a number, 30%. I said, 30%? He said, why? I said, I don't know. Reverse the film, slow it down, play it backwards 30%. Totally weird instructions that I would give him for no reason. And boom, right between the 2 balls of light, backwards 30% slow down, there's a line of communication between the 2 balls of light. I lock the film, and there it is. It's a black and white, straight on, see it plain as day, line of communication. These 2 balls of light communicated before the field went down.
Incredible.
I ended my movie, and I show it 3 times, because the first time people are going to go, yeah, right. The second time people are going to go, did you see that? And the third time they're going to be gripping the chair going, what? So I show the field go down 3 times, and then I reverse it and show that 3 times. And my editor wouldn't let me say, debunk that. But seriously, I mean, people that want to be cynics are going to be. People that don't want to see the magic that's happening on the planet are not going to. And it's okay, because what needs to happen now is that the mass of humanity, the energy of the mass of humanity, needs to get out of fear and start looking at 2012 as an opportunity for humanity to ascend into a higher consciousness. The wonderful thing about the great teachers now is they're saying that critical mass of 51% is all it takes to sway what's going to happen on this planet. And it's not 51% of human bodies, it's 51% of energy. So when you've got light workers all over the planet really, really doing their work, supposedly, the great teachers are saying, that one light worker can affect the sleeping nature of 10,000 sleeping humans that don't give a flying hoot. So if you've got only 10% of the population that's really doing the work to help humanity rise in consciousness and to move into a greater world in 2012, well, if all of us that are conscious and really making an effort to make this a better world do everything that we can sway this thing. And the script is still being written. I mean, we are at a tipping point, as far as the physicality of really hurting the ocean, really hurting the sky, really hurting the planet, hurting our overall economic systems, because we're being controlled by a bunch of idiots. We're being controlled by people that don't care about humanity. And I'm not, of course, going to elaborate because I don't want enemies. I don't want to draw attention to conspiracy girl, because I'm not. I'm a light worker. I put conspiracy girl to bed. Once in a while she pops her head up when something, comes across the internet. It's like, I mean, you got to react. You're human. But we have to really control our humanness now, because we are at a critical point, and we really have to start creating change. And one person at a time is how it happens. And I'm working my tail off.
Well,
and the universe is finally, thank you. The universe is finally starting to reward me. But it's been a haul, uphill, pushing a horse, uphill. And I think a lot of people are feeling that now. And with this speeding up of everything, and with this opportunity for humanity to ascend into such a better place, we are being tested. And we are being tested to our knees. So all of you out there, I mean, don't give up. It's worth the work. But it's not an easy time.
Here's sort of almost a premonition type question. With the beautiful designs that were shown to us in 2009, a lot of them had, as you said, Mayan hints to them, or animals, the hummingbird and the dragonfly and the squid.
Mm-hmm.
What do you see, if anything, for the patterns and the shapes for this season? Do you think they'll continue that trend, or do you think it'll be something totally different?
Well, it would be strictly a guess. I mean, who knows what they're going to show us this summer. But I think that last summer was extremely profound. And the two that you mentioned, the dragonfly happens to be the oldest insect known.
That's right.
And the one of the sea creatures, I think it was the squid, I might be wrong, is one of the oldest sea creatures known. And they also, in recent history, have shown us the ammonite, which is the historic shell, the spiral of life. Yes. They've shown us the lotus. They've shown us so many ancient symbols to really get us to look at our past and bring it into, I think, a present reality, to kind of really have us take a look at our whole history from then up until now. But I think my guess, if I were to guess what's going to come for this summer, is going to be to really draw us to the Mayan symbols. And also, I think they're going to keep reminding us about the ocean. We had a lot of different fish formations last summer. We have whales beaching. We have dolphins even beaching now. I mean, we have fish coming out of the waters, beautiful, huge mammals that are going to become extinct. And why is that? It's because humanity is throwing all the trash into the water. It's because humanity is allowing our military to be blasting under the oceans. So what are these beautiful beings doing? They're having to come out of the water because I don't even want to blame us any further. I just want to say we are being gifted all the information we need to make the changes that we need to be making. And the title of my first movie is called The Wake Up Call. Anybody listening? I think this is the biggest question for all of humanity. We have everything we need. Is anybody listening?
A question that is the one that will be the $1 million question.
Yeah. Well, I think we're listening. All of us here tonight, I don't know who's listening out there in your audience, but whoever we are, I really hope that we will brighten our light and really, no matter what we know, put it over there if it's not good stuff and really focus on what is, because our thoughts, words, actions create our reality. So if we wake up and we are thinking crabby thoughts, we're going to have a crabby day. If we wake up and look at somebody we love and say, oh my God, my life is blessed, we're going to have a blessed day. And if we wake up alone and say, thank you for this amazing life, we're going to have a really thankful, amazing day. So we set our trap. We set our joy. We set our plan in motion each and every day when we wake up. And we got work to do.
That's right. And you make a good point, too, because, in order for someone to totally get the message, they have to start listening.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the main thing.
Yep. And as we move into this 2012 energy, what's happening is not only are we ascending into a higher consciousness, all people, but we're also moving into more telepathy. And telepathy is where we're starting to read each other better. Animals do this naturally. And, all the ETs, of course, this is how they communicate. All people that have been abducted by higher dimensional beings are saying it's all telepathic. And as we move into the higher dimensions of this change of our ascension, of the 2012 consciousness, or whatever people want to title it, we are moving into a time where we are going to be reading each other so much more. We are moving into a telepathic, teleportive time where we are going to be hearing more about time tunnels, zero-point gravity, things that are really technology that we've had for 60, 70 years now, but we're starting to have disclosure where the populace is going to be able to start using it. This is where the Earth and the people on it are going to start really improving life, is when we start really honoring the fact that we are evolving as a species. And like you were saying, you and I are positive people, There's a lot of 2012 fear factor mongers that are going and watching that movie or any kind of series of movies. But when we look at the newspapers and the news on TV and the national and international news, they're not promoting good news.
No,
so something needs to change there. Yeah.
You're right.
I mean, we need to change it from the ground up.
I think the best way to do that is, like you said, is to be aware of yourself, aware of your surroundings. Take the time to think beyond the box. And I always say this on almost every show, that people are so consumed within their own little 2-foot space radius, and it's me, it's mine, I'm doing this, la, 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 la. They don't see beyond that. And that's one of the things that's keeping us behind, I think.
Mm-hmm. It's been a pretty greedy world for quite a long time, and we've been trained to be so, but we're moving out of it. I mean, I'm just seeing it everywhere. And, the children that are coming in now know so much more.
That's right.
And we've been in all these different waves of consciousness. We've got the indigos that are now in their 20s, and they are doing great work. And supposedly the baby boomers that are in their 50s were the early wave of, the first group of conscious. We were the hippies, and there's been different waves of consciousness groupings, different eras of humanity where we've been brought to spiritual consciousness. But I think this is a time where the children that are being born now and the ones in their early 20s, these are the kids that are going to be becoming the adults in the next, group of years. And I do believe there's going to be a group of years coming. And my movie 2012, we're already in it. If any of you want to be positive and you don't want to go into the fear factor mode, check out this one. It's a very, very encouraging movie that looks at what is going on scientifically and philosophically, and also prophesied by all the different groups. But again, there's 2 ways to look at everything: love, fear. I'm guaranteeing that my movies are always going to focus on the love aspect. And I realize that everything goes on all the time. And when I'm in England, there's extreme fear factor going on there. There's huge conspiracy factor going on there. And there's a whole lot of military crawling down our throats and flying over us in helicopters constantly in the crop circles, trying to intimidate us out. They really want the world to think that Doug and Dave made all the circles, and they haven't been happening for the last 10 or 15 years. Yeah. Well, I got to tell you, it's not true. No. These crop circles are giving us something absolutely amazing, and anybody listening to this show can fly over to London, rent a car, drive 4 hours, and be in Wiltshire, England, and find these amazing formations and change your life. It is life-changing to be a pioneer in this new paradigm and set foot on a sacred site or in a crop circle or in a temple in Egypt. I mean, we have so many opportunities. The pyramids in the Maya lands of Mexico. We've got stuff all over, you know? I mean, we have amazing places on this planet where we can really do the work we need to do. And I encourage all of you to get out there and get on it, because time is short as we know it, but we got good things ahead.
Well, we've extended the show, and I am totally honored and privileged to have spoken to you. And again, I am extremely sorry for the little tech issue a little bit earlier tonight. But if I could talk to you all night, I definitely would, because this has been
Thank you.
Very insightful, and I can just sense from you, you know, the passion behind this. And it's not just about getting the movies out there, you know, and that kind of thing. It's about the message. It's about the experience. It's about investigating and learning something. And I think that's what people need to know as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I feel so lucky that I made the decision to put my body over there in the summertime. I mean, it's one of the greatest gifts we can give ourselves, is to put ourselves in places that are absolutely outstanding. And there are places close to our homes. No matter where you live, there are so many beautiful places everywhere. But it's also about our attitude when we take ourselves to those places. It's about being open. And, you know, when I saw the plasma, these amazing things that are in the sky, I thought, oh, wow, only in the crop circles. And then I went home to, at the time I was living in Denver, sitting on my deck, really nappy city, just smog and buses and ambulances, and sitting out on my deck, and all of a sudden, shocked me to death, there's the plasma beings. It's like sitting watching schools of fish go by in the air. It was every bit as many of them as I saw in the crop circles, and I realized, my God, even in Denver. Which says to me, everywhere we go, they are. And sure enough, every time I look up, I can see them.
I wonder, would at any point, would they make a design for you to see, like a decipherable design, if you looked at them long enough?
No. I don't think so. I didn't really think of them as artisans. These are just things moving through the air.
Right.
And if we're extending the show, I'd like to just say that I've taken many, many people outside to see these plasma things. I don't know what they are, but I can tell you how to see them. And many of you listening, if you decide you want to go out tomorrow when the sun is shining, you'll be blown away. You look into the sky, not at the sun. Look into the clouds blue. You'll relax your eyes, and a lot of people can see those little glints of light. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Jason? Where you see like those little glints, and they kind of move and they bounce a little bit, but they're definitely little lights. And most people will say, oh, that's just the veins in your eyes, right? Have you heard this?
I have, yes.
Okay, that's the excuse everybody gives you. Okay, so you start staring at them. Let's not give up. They are not veins in your eyes, people. So you start watching them, and you focus on the fact that these little glints of light are not consistent. They're not moving the same. They're actually moving differently. They're moving in jerky little patterns, so they have energy. And they're moving in different directions, so they've got some kind of consciousness energy that can move them in different directions. So once you start realizing these things that you're looking at in the sky are real, they're not something in your eyes, then you can really just watch them start to relax your eyes, almost like you look at those 3D cards, where you look at those flat colored cards and all of a sudden it rises into a 3D picture.
Yes.
You have to really relax your eyes to see those cards. It's that same muscle group that you're relaxing. So now you're looking into the sky. You see these glints of light. You relax your eyes till you're kind of almost blurry. And if you're lucky, you will see beyond these glints of light things that are moving that look almost like jellyfish. The ones that I've seen, and I've seen them all over the world in different countries, they're round like a donut. And they're clear like a jellyfish, but there's lots of them. And they're in groups. And they go together. And almost every time I've taken a group of 3 or 4 or 10 people outside, most of the people see these things. And all you have to do is look up, relax your eyes, begin with a glimpse of light that everybody can see. Relax further like you're looking at those 3D cards, and you will start seeing bizarre things that are in the sky. The veils are thinning more and more and more, and these other parallel universes are presenting themselves to those of us that are taking the time to look. Right. And every time I stop what I'm doing and go, oh yeah, let me look up and see what I can see here. Not only the round ones, but there's also things that almost look like oil slick, an oil slick moving through the sky. And these things are kind of like a snake. But you'll see the round ones that look clear, and you'll see the kind of curvy snake-like things that look like an oil slick. And I can just about guarantee that most of you that step outside and really take the time to do this, you will see things. And you'll find it extremely interesting that there are things in the sky that you didn't realize were there. And when we talk about what plasma is, we have solids, we have liquid, we have gas, and then less dense plasma, and finally less dense air. So this is between gas and air. There is this field, and it's starting to become visible to humans. So get out there, and you don't need any tools to see these things. You just need to take the time and relax. But this is one of the things that's going to slap us upside the head, that we are so not alone here.
That's so true.
There's a lot going on. And we can choose to see it and go into, fear, because we don't know what it is. Or we can look at the reality and say, what we need to be scared of is what our government is doing. What we need to be scared of is what is going on with humans that are dealing with the greed factor. What's happening is that we are being gifted assistance now. We are being gifted assistance from other dimensions because we're on the edge of the tipping point with hurting our planet too much. Humanity's gotten sloppy. And I think that the ETs have agreed not to bring their ships down and scare the crap out of all of us, but they're definitely making their presence known. And I believe they're here to help us. And the more of us that listen and work with our intuitive self and listen to our gut feelings, and when we have that sense of, look over there, I'd say look over there, because you might start seeing things. And as we look into the sky and start seeing things that we didn't know a minute ago existed, we're going to start realizing there's a whole lot more magic out there. It's really fun.
It is certainly going to.
So that's my gift. Everybody go out tomorrow, look into the sky, and feel free to send me an email through the website if you start seeing things and you're just like, oh my God, pattygreer.com, go to contact us and let me know that you saw it, because it's a really wonderful thing, to just open more and more with every realization, because there is so much magic going that could be filling our minds instead of all the things that could bother us.
Well, I have sort of a question about your own lineage. Have you connected your family tree to possibly being from Wiltshire
No.
generations ago?
Mm-mm. I have the most unspiritual seeming family. I feel like I'm an apple that fell off somebody else's tree and my mom found me. I mean, I don't really feel like I belong. But a lot of people that have ET experience say that very thing.
Yes.
I don't feel like I belong to my Earth family. I want to go home. I don't feel that. I have not been in a spaceship. I have not seen extraterrestrial beings. I do not claim that I have ever had an experience with any kind of spaceship or any of that. But I've been in the crop circles. I've been in probably 100 crop circles, and I have gotten goosebumps until I can't see straight so many times that I have no doubt I've had amazing experiences. But this movie-making thing without meaning to, wanting to, trying to, or being trained. I believe that I am definitely kind of a little puppet that's done a whole lot of work for them in the last 3 years. And I feel like I've been gifted everything I could possibly need. I mean, as I'm in the edit stage, I'll get an email every movie at the right time where somebody somewhere says, I have all these incredible orb photos. Love to share them with you. Loved your movie. And I'm like, how does this happen every time? Sure, send a few. And then there are like these unbelievable collections that end up filling the movie. But these people that are getting orb photos. Now, the orbs are not balls of light. They're not plasma beings. They are yet another ET entity that millions of people are getting on film. Millions of people are getting orb photos. And, of course, we've got the cynics that say, oh, it's dust on the lens or it's moisture. Well, go bore yourself and go back to sleep. I'm not interested in talking to you. I love orb photos. My God, we're getting orb photos that have pictures of faces. We're getting orb photos that are so ornate that they look like crop circles. So I encourage people, again, in all my movies, I've got fabulous orb photos. Some of them now are almost like Swiss cheese. What's that about? Orbs with missing segments. What's that about? You know, I mean, there is so much magic right now. There's so much that we can be enjoying that's beyond what we can see. And in 2001, I had a boyfriend who was not spiritually minded or religious minded or any kind of etheric conversation. We were all about music, 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 music. I woke up one morning, and he was staring at the ceiling, completely paralyzed. I said, didn't sleep? He said, do you remember what you said in your sleep last night? I said, no. He said, you said it's not what you see, it's what you don't see. I thought, well, that's interesting. This is 2001, before I knew anything about any of this.
Right.
And then he said, I went on to say, it's not who you know, it's who you really are. Yeah. I'm looking at him thinking, well, that's pretty clever. I like it for lyrics. I'm going to go write it down. He grabbed my hand. He goes, no, that's not all that happened. I said, well, what happened? He said, well, you woke me up by talking in your sleep that loud. And then I saw these headlights go across the hill, and I lived up in the mountains, and I fed a lot of wildlife, and I had a total sanctuary up there and crystals and hoogie-woogie palace. And so he said, I watched these headlights come across the hillside, and I realized there was no road. And one of them came through the wall into your bedroom, and this ball of light, he's telling me this, and I've never heard of it in my life, went around the circle of the bedroom, went around the total roof perimeter, over our heads. And I was shaking you, and you wouldn't wake up.
Wow.
Now I'm thinking the guy lost his marbles. Yep. I was just staring at him like, nice dream. He said, that's not all. I was like, okay, what? The other ball of light was white, came through the wall, and when it came in the inside of the wall, it was bright green, like those glow sticks you break at night. It was so lit up, and it went the same way around the ceiling of the bedroom. He said, I was shaking you so hard that the headboard was hitting the wall, and you wouldn't wake up. Now, I'm thinking, this is, it was beyond anything I'd ever heard. So I'm just watching him thinking, you look really freaked out, and could this be true? So I'm listening, and I'm thinking, come on, I don't sleep that sound. He said it was the most amazing thing, and the first ball went out the upper window of the living room, and I watched the second ball go out the lower window of the living room. He was so specific, he remembered everything, and needless to say, never dated me again. Wouldn't answer the phone, wouldn't talk about it. 5 years later, I start going to the crop circles. I'm hearing about the balls of light. I'm going, oh, my God. Now, this is the time when I wrote all the songs that are in the soundtracks for the movies now. I Fly in My Dreams, Don't Wake Me Up. I mean, really bizarre songs that somehow work for all these E.T. and crop circle movies were written after those balls of light came into my bedroom while I slept. And he had the experience, but I was out cold. But interestingly enough, I wrote the songs that worked for the E.T. movies. So something happened to me at that time also in 2001. I had some kind of a download that created the music for what happened in the craft circles 8 or 9 years later when I created the movies. I don't really take credit, like I created them. I just happen to be the human holding the camera, hiring the editor, paying for it. But these movies have made themselves. And the music from those times happened to fit perfectly in the soundtracks. So now I'm hanging out with Barbara Lamb, my good friend, who's done all these abduction regressions, and I said, help me out here. I don't understand. In 2001, I'm with this guy who doesn't believe in anything, and he has this whole experience in my bedroom, in my house, and I don't get to see a thing. What happened? And she said, well, number one, it's very rare when a human can physically move, let alone shake you hard enough that the headboard would hit, let alone call your name and be able to move, because most humans are paralyzed by these satellites, these balls of light.
Right.
Typically the human can't react. The fact that he shook the bed and shook you and tried to wake you up and had that physical availability of his strength says that it's not the first time he's had that experience. He's been abducted many times. Then she looked at me and said, does he have social anxiety? I said, yeah. She said, yeah, he's scared to death. He has no idea what he's been through. And so I kept trying to call him, to suggest, and he wouldn't have it. So very interesting that I had that experience. I got locked out. She said the experience was for him, and you got locked out. But while you were locked out, you got the download.
That's right.
So we don't know what happens. And a lot of people that are having experiences at night while they sleep, it's usually when it happens. A lot of things are happening now. I won't elaborate. That's another whole show. But I really stay out of fear with every conversation about this. I think it's a really wonderful thing that's happening on the planet. I think that we have huge opportunities to expand our consciousness and to really improve the way we're treating Mother Earth. I think we're going to make it. So
I think
2012, I say raw.
And it takes an army of people such as yourself to get this thing going, and you are so on the right path. And we're coming to the end of the show. I feel so enlightened from this conversation. I'm like a kid in a candy store, The fact that you actually put up with tonight, I want to say that again, and not feeling well on top of that, I'm really appreciative that you came on tonight. And if I sound like I'm a little starstruck, it's because I sort of am.
Starstruck?
Well, you're out there and you're doing what you're doing, and you're doing it so well. It's kind of the path that I want to, sort of jump over to next, the filmmaking, and I don't have any training either. So, it's inspiring to me. If you can do it and do it as well as you have, and do it with that much conviction, then I hope I can duplicate what you have done whenever I do get that chance. And,
thank you. And the beauty of making the movies is the beauty of it. But they say with every there has to be a balance. Yes, I have had the most exquisite time making these movies. It is so, so wonderful. And to be in the fields, and flying in the planes, it is so, so wonderful. But I have learned the gravest lessons from the world of distributors and the world of people that can take your movie and your money. I've been through hell with this. I have learned really harsh lessons from the industry. And again, the lessons that I've learned are a symbol of what's happening on the planet. There's just a few sour humans that just don't care. It's only about, like you were saying, only about me, me, me. It looks like a great career, but I got to tell you, watch your back, watch your front, watch your side, left and right. It's a cutthroat world. And I've been to the film festivals, and I'm really proud of this, the beauty of the films, but it's really interesting to see that, everywhere you go, people really fight the light.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get in a lot of film festivals because I don't have knife and gun club. I don't have stealing and beating up people. And, you know, what I have is a really solid commitment to something that I hope will get out there more and more. But, no, the industry of filmmaking, really scary place. So, you know, if you say you envy it and you love the thought of it, well, all I can say is do it because you love it. I really haven't seen the income return, but again, I have to look at the bigger picture, which is I'm helping to get a message out that's important.
Right.
But I also need to make money. I need to survive. So I want to look at it as a business, but it's a hard one. It's a hard business. You know, but I encourage everybody to go for it. You know, I just
let me ask you,
fun.
in closing, what are your plans for the next, you're going to go back and do some more research on the crop circles. Do you have any other genres that, I know a conspiracy girl peeks her head out every now and then, but do you have any other genres that you're sort of thinking of looking into in a research manner?
Well, my 5th movie is half done. I do have another one in the can. And this one is about the fairy kingdom of the new paradigm. And it's, I've done all the filming. I'm just going through the editing now. And I'm kind of putting it off for a little while because I've worn myself out making movies. When I'm in edit, I'm paced down 15 hours a day for months.
Yes.
And I'm up for air now for the first time in years. But the fairy film is on the back burner, and it is this lovely piece that's narrated by a dog, and it's all telepathic animals telling us how to save the planet. And I have deer and foxes. These are real animals, live, that I've gone out all summer long. Last summer, I spend time with wildlife, and they, for some reason, hang and stare at me, probably because I'm behind the camera going, like, you know, making faces and noises and all kinds of animal sounds. But I have so much animal footage of huge animals staring at me that basically now I just open their mouth a few times and a little bit of lip syncing, and then they start singing songs. And so this fairy film is basically an ascension movie for children. But it's turning out so artistic that I think adults are going to love it too. And the special effects are, you know, going to be these human fairies all dressed up in gorgeous outfits. But these are women that actually go to fairy festivals. These are not fake in the funk people in costumes. These are people that believe that they are of the fairy energy, and they have numerous sets of wings and outfits at home, and they don't miss the fairy festivals that are all around the world. And it's a whole genre of people that are fairies and elves and divas and elementals, and they really live this life. And the people in England that are narrating the film for me that know about the fairy kingdom, and, you know, in Ireland and England, they know more than most of us over here because the fairies have been very present over there. But they told me the story on camera, and you hear this beautiful voice of Isabel Kingston talking about the fairies, but it's coming through the face of a deer. So it's going to be a pretty interesting movie. And short of that, I am planning to take off for a few years and circumnavigate the world with my new love of my life and stop working for a while. So in 2012, I'm taking off on a sailboat for a few years, and I'm going to go see the world and try and have my camera just be for the dolphins and not for my next big picture. But who knows? You know, if somebody does find my work valuable and really want me to be doing this, then I will stay with it and continue to make movies. And the UFO conference giving me the Best Feature Film Award for a few years in a row, that has given me the confirmation that I need, that I am on the right path and that I should be doing this.
Well,
it's just a really expensive hobby.
Yeah, I can imagine. You know,
it's not a hobby, it's my business, but it's expensive to make movies.
Well, I'll tell you, though, if you do, you know, come up with a new concept and you ever want to come back on my show, I would be more than grateful and to have you at any time. You know,
great. Well, thank you.
Let me know.
And please, order my movies. You should see the trailers are a nice little taster, but you should definitely see the movies. The last two that I made, both of them taking Best Feature Film, there's a reason. The messages are good. The people in them are all the people that go to the crop circles every summer. These people are brilliant. They're coming in from all these different countries just to be doing the work for the planet. And they meet every summer. It is just phenomenal. I mean, the things that these people are talking about really will put our minds at ease because, yeah, my favorite line of my 2012 movie is Patricia Corey, brilliant woman. She's written 10 books, Atlantis Rising, Cosmos of the Soul, brilliant woman living in Rome. But she gets in the middle of my 2012 movie. She goes down the rundown of, all these different aspects of our societies are collapsing. But she ends it with, we're in martial law, but look at this day. Look at this glorious day. What are you going to do with it? I love that line. It's just like, there's a lot of stuff going on, but what are you going to choose to put your mind on today? What kind of day do you want to have? And I think that every morning that's the question I ask myself after I dissect my dreams and what I just learned last night while I slept. I go into, what do I want this day to be? So, no matter what's going on, look at the good stuff.
That's right.
Look forward.
At the end of the day, it's all about the good stuff,
Mm-hmm.
Well, I said before I would love to talk to you all night, but I do have responsibilities in the morning, and I just can't thank you enough for being a guest. You've been super, and I will definitely order your movies. I have it on my Facebook group. I've favored it, and everybody out there, please visit her website, pattygreer.com, and order your copies. It's well worth it, and it's for an incredible cause. And we all need to be a part of this, I think. That's the way to do it. Little by little, piece by piece, the puzzle will get solved, and the answers will be given. And
all of us matter.
That's right.
Every single person matters.
That's right. And I have your personal email, but do you have an email that you'd like to give out for anybody to send you a message or a comment or something?
On the website, there's a contact us, and that goes straight to my email.
Great. And again, it's pattygreer.com. And I want to say thank you so much for being on the show. Everybody out there that listened, thank you very much. You have yourself a great night, and I'll talk to you very soon, Patty.
Thank you. And everybody keep your eyes to the skies.
That's right. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you so much. Good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye. Well, that was a superb show. I want to say thanks for everyone that stuck around and listened, and I hope you can catch my next show. It will be right around the corner on the 18th, and it's with UFO researcher / witness Tony Topping,